How's it going? Welcome to the live stream. Hope everyone's having a great day. Whew! The last stream before Christmas. I was thinking, man, I don't know if I want to do a live stream today. And it's like, wait, what am I thinking? It's Christmas time or holiday season. If you don't celebrate Christmas, then hope you are having great holidays or whatever you celebrate. You know how it goes. What's up, Chip? Hope you're doing well today. Whew, man. I was getting the live stream set up, and before I go live, I always test it out, and it kept buffering out and saying there was a problem and how to, I've had this set up for an hour, comes down to the last 5 minutes, and everything starts messing up, and it's not even on my side, so, whew. Oh, man, it's hard to let go of things when it's not in your control. Like all the computer stuff setting up. At first I had a few problems, but, I could troubleshoot them and take care of them, and bam, I got everything worked out and everything set up. Everything was going good for an hour. It was all ready and all that good stuff. And then, whew, I don't know what happened. YouTube's just like, no, we don't want to put it up yet. Because YouTube has been changing all their studio stuff and all that, and their live streaming stuff, so it's got all kinds of bugs and stuff. Hey, what's up, Bootleg Blades? How's it going this weekend? I had the lady come in here and clean on what day was that? Thursday. I almost forgot to fill up my water bottle. I couldn't find it. It's like that's one thing. I've accepted that I'm a messy person. But there's a method to the chaos, or a method to the madness, I guess, because I know where everything is, even though it's messy. So when someone comes in and cleans, I have to go and find everything and mess the whole shop up again. But yeah, ever since the reason I had her come clean was because when I started working, it's either the ginger that I started the ginger I started taking, those ginger shots I was talking about last week, or the ironwood, because I was looking up exotic woods and stuff, and it said ironwood messes with your sinuses and your respiration and stuff. And the ginger shots and the ironwood, it was like right around the same time, like 2 or 3 days apart. And ever since then, in the morning, I wake up and my sinuses are all clogged, and, I don't really have a sore throat, and I don't feel sick at all. But man, it's like I'm going through boxes of tissues, just, cleaning my nose out, and then by noon, I'm fine. But then I come down here and work, even when I showed you that last week in the thing where I had to cut it early because I picked up all those belts, and whew, man. Working on the handle of the sand-mine knife today, right on. Hey, what's up, Heath? What's going on? Oh, Heath, I meant to email you. Said on your last video, you did use that laptop camera. I'm gonna send you my old camcorder because it's just sitting there collecting dust. It's like a 1080p. It's what I used when I first started doing my YouTube videos before I started getting cameras. So I think you'll have to get a memory card and stuff, and. Well, I'll talk to you about that off thing anyway, but yeah, I think it'll help having a camcorder like that. But yeah, whew, man. So when I was cleaning the shop and all that, I think because I use like a big old fan, like a almost a 4-foot fan to blow everything out, and then I have like one of those square fans. So last Sunday, after all that commotion of all the belts, I put the fan on and I opened the window. And about an hour later, all my smoke alarms started going. Well, they're all connected. Like the basement has 2 alarms and the upstairs has 2 alarms. If the one in the basement goes off, they all go off. So I'm sitting there, editing and just doing nothing. And it's like, all of a sudden, beep, 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 beep. Evacuate the building, evacuate the building. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I ran downstairs because it tells you, what part of the house is smoke. And I ran down here, and sure enough, this whole room was just filled with smoke. I was like, what's going on? So I unplugged everything, and the weird, I had the window open, so I was like, well, maybe the next door neighbors were smoking something and the wind pulled all the smoke in, because there was no smoke in any parts of the rest of the house. So I'm like, all right. And the fan was running perfect. Usually if something's smoking or something, it'll be whistling or there's problems. So I'm like, man. And so I was like, I kind of wrote it off. Oh, the neighbors must have been cooking and smoking something, or, and because, it's a good 30 to 40 feet to their backyard, to their patio or stuff where they would cook from my back window, and smoke rises, but you never know when, anyway, because I know electronics. When something's smoking, that means it's, the motor's going bad. So I got everything cleared out, everything cleared out, the smoke alarms turned off and all that. The next day I was working down here, and since it wasn't clean yet, I did that. I'd open the window and I turned the fan on. Sure enough, the same thing happened again. But this time I unplugged everything except the fan. And sure enough, man, the whole room was filled with smoke. So, but I don't understand it, because the fan was running perfect. It wasn't making a noise, Usually smoke is because, like, the bearings have dried out or something, or aren't greased up right. So the bearings will be spinning too hot and causing smoke. So my only logical thought is, some of the dust, either the G10 dust or the carbon fiber or the ironwood dust, must have got into the fan, into the motor. So as it's getting hotter, as the bearings are spinning and stuff, it's, smoking, plus it's, pulling in air, and when you want to start a fire, you blow on the fire to bring it out. So that's my only logical conclusion to why this fan is smoking and still running perfect, not making a noise or nothing. So I have no idea. But yeah, so I hooked up the box fan, and I noticed after like 3 hours I came down and it was starting to get warm. So I think it was all those fans are pulling in all the dust. It didn't create any smoke, but it still had that thing. But yeah, so one of these days I guess I'll take the fan apart and grease up the bearings and clean out all the gunk on it, or whatever's causing it. So woo, man. Oh, Heath, I'm glad you're here. I actually started cooking. Yeah, man. Been doing a lot of cooking. Opening the cans of Campbell's, putting it in the pan. I had that thought. I was like, well, Heath wants me to cook. I'll put this soup in the pan and cook it on the stove instead of putting it in the microwave. I'm a cook now. Yeah, man. Hey, it's cooking, I might open the can and pour it in the pan, but hey, it's still on the stove cooking, right? Oh, man. Oh, yeah, I've been eating a lot of soup. Trying to stay healthy and all that. See, that's another thing I'm wondering if why I've been getting these morning, sinus things. I've been, ever since I cut out sugar a month ago or whatever, not only have I been cutting out sugar, I've been trying to eat healthier and just like load my body full of vitamins. So my body's like, man, after 48 years of all that garbage, and we got used to it and we love it, now you're putting all this healthy stuff in us and we don't like it. Oh, man. So, or maybe this is what it feels like to be healthy. I don't know. Oh, man. Whew. Let's see. Chip, you'll need a chef's knife for that soup. Yeah. I have to make myself a fork. A fork and a spoon. Oh, man. Whew. What a day, what a day. Oh, so on Instagram lately, I've been using my phone and putting it up on a tripod and showing kind of what I've been doing. And, a lot of people are always like, oh, why don't you do a live show where you're grinding and stuff, or do a live show where you're doing this and that. I was wondering if that's a good idea, if I should. See, I was thinking what I could do is, in the middle of my YouTube videos, you know, set up an extra camera or set up my extra phone and go live with Instagram. But man, I guess people don't realize how boring it is to sit there and watch someone grind. And the thing I was trying to figure out is that, because, you know, when I'm doing my YouTube videos, I stop and I talk to the camera. Well, I would have to stop, talk to the Instagram camera, and then talk to my regular camera. It's like, hey, what's up, Taylor? Taylor Blades? Right on, you got here this week. Good to see you. But that's the funny thing about people that don't do YouTube or, you know, Instagram. I've been getting a lot of comments on, like, Facebook where, like, man, you're the hardest working knife maker around or whatever. It's like, no, I'm not the hardest working knife maker. I just record it all and post it all. There's a lot of guys that work a lot harder than me. I'm just very, what's the word? Very obsessive. That's what I told Taylor Blade yesterday. I'm just obsessive. I'm not a harder worker. I just obsessively want to be on camera. Oh, man. It's funny because I get that comment and I get the bare feet comment a lot. The barefoot comment is the comment that, like, I get almost every post. At least 2 or 3 people say, oh man, look at those bare feet, or blah, 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 or you're going to kill yourself with your bare feet. And, you know, all this bad juju on me, but I don't know. And the funny thing is, people think I'm joking when I say, oh, every time I wear shoes, I get hurt. I think I was talking about that last week, but it's true. You know, I didn't have my shoes on when I was doing those handles, and I felt my knuckles skim across the belt but didn't touch it. If I had my shoes on, I would have laid right into that belt and busted my knuckles up. It's all in my head now. People try to put all this bad juju on me. Oh, man. But I think, you know, I'm wondering about doing that Instagram Live and how I would work it out. And see, that's the one thing about me. I'm always, like, overthinking things before I do them. It's like, because I could probably figure it out, so I just have to cut out on YouTube the parts I talk on Instagram. But then how would I cut out the Instagram parts for what I talk about on YouTube, you know? Because I could stop and be like, yeah, here's what I'm doing to the people on Instagram. But I couldn't be like, now, wait a second while I go and talk to people on YouTube. But it's funny, the perception, people that don't do, like, social media, the perception they have of people that are on social media. Like, Slavic Kelly did a video, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, just like a questions and answers thing. And someone asked him, why don't you do more YouTube videos? You can make millions, you know, or you can pay your rent and do all that if you just do YouTube videos. But it doesn't work like that anymore. Now, 3 or 4 years ago, before like the whole Logan Paul and all that stuff and all the ad apocalypse and stuff, yeah, people were making a killing on YouTube. And, you know, there was, and see, knife specific things don't get on any social media. Like, I've been doing the TikTok thing again, and sure enough, in fact, I post the same exact stuff on TikTok the last couple of days that I've been posting on Instagram. And the knives are all covered up, you know, they're taped up, but I've still gotten like 3 violations. So it just drives me crazy because I see all these other guys on there showing their knives and doing all this knives. But I think it's because I pushed the system. Because you know me, I'm not going to let stuff go. When they started violating me, you know, it says under there, you know, you can, if you think you were violated for the wrong reasons, let us know. So, of course, dumbass Dave gets on there and be like, knife making's not violent, and, you know, doing this and this and this, and the whole rant about knives and how we need knives and everybody uses knives and you couldn't live without knives. You every day you wake up and eat your breakfast, you use a knife, or dinner or lunch. Some point, every person in the world uses a knife. So I think that put them on my trail. So now any little thing I get violated on TikTok, but I'm not really worried about it. I got Instagram and all that. But even like Instagram, Facebook, if you try to promote your stuff on their platform, they're like, weapons are not allowed. So, you know, trying to be a knife maker on YouTube isn't as easy as being like a camera guy or stuff like that. So, it's all how you look at it and stuff. So, I'll tell you what. Oh, man. So lately I've been having this Jekyll and Hyde conflict in my head with my music and even my videos and stuff. Like, well, my videos, I've kind of got it figured out. I'm just going to concentrate on making the best video, even if I put out just one a week and do the live stream. Like, I've already got Tuesday's video finished, but I didn't put up 2 videos last week. It's just so kind of unclocking my brain and figuring that. Do you think one day they won't let us post anything about knife making because they just don't want more people to know how to make knives? You know, it's a fine line. They're definitely doing whatever they can to do away with it. That's for sure. Now YouTube, you know, the thing about YouTube is you see a lot of guys making knives. So it's good on YouTube, but when you want to promote it or like promote your video, you have to use other words so you can't hit your demographic. But I think the communities, I mean, well, look at Instagram. Instagram started like blocking different hashtags and stuff like that a couple months ago. And the thing is, it's not really it's not Instagram and it's not Facebook and it's not YouTube. What it is, it's people that are like, oh, knives are bad, knives are violent, you know, and people will like report, oh, this isn't appropriate. So when people report that, of course the company has to go in and look at it. So it's not really the company's fault as much as, oh, these people get a wild hair. Like, you know, some tragedy happens. Excuse me, some tragedy happens. And people are like, oh, I gotta make a stand for this. And they take the wrong approach or the wrong platform. Like AVE, actually that was on his Patreon. He had in his video, he starts out and he's like, and I got a knife, and he shows in Great Britain or in the UK how it's like, there's no reason to be carrying a knife. If you are caught carrying a knife, you will be prosecuted. Because they just made the law so harsh, now people are running around with kitchen knives, you know, hurting people. I think that's what Laws and the other guy from the UK said a few months back. So, you know, someone runs around and stabs a bunch of people and all that stuff. And, you know, people get outraged. They're like, oh, well, when we have to ban knives. So it's a big, in fact, it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, there was a guy, I think on the London Bridge, running around stabbing people. And I think he killed 2 people. But some guy that was in a restaurant working went and grabbed the thing off the wall and bashed him in the back of the head, and it was over. So, you know, it was some like priceless fish bone or something, some really priceless bone, and he just grabbed off the wall and knocked this dude out. So I can kind of see, you know, plus, you know, a lot of people, the first thing they do, I mean, even look at Forged in Fire. Forged in Fire. You know, this knife will kill. This knife will cut. So, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Us as knife makers, we want people to see our knives. So we're like, oh, look how awesome this knife is, and look how much it's, you it will cut, it will do this. And so, yeah, it's that fine line of trying to figure out, people don't have guns anymore, so they want to blame the next thing, but I don't know. It's a rough road. It's just another hurdle, when you, something, if someone was, I won't even get on that rant. But anyway, back to my music thing and the videos. So my music lately, it's like, man, because I try to write like 2 or 3 songs. Well, it's more background music now than songs because I don't put lyrics to them. But it's like, everything was starting to sound the same. And it's like, but then if I go and listen to other bands, all their songs sound the same. And it's like, well, do I try to make every song different? Or do I just try to make it sound good, if that makes sense? Because it's like, man, it's like, oh, I'm just writing another song that sounds exactly like the last song. But if the last song was good, doesn't matter. And man, I've been having this conflict, and I've been trying to write new songs and write new kinds of music. Like I've been kind of, writing a lot more blues and kind of jazzy stuff. Maybe even a little hint of country, but I don't know country. I can appreciate it. I don't listen to country, so I don't know. But so I'm trying to do different things. But when you start writing that much music, it all starts kind of blending together and sounds. So it's like, man, do I just keep on doing this, or do I take a break and wait and then maybe write a song? Or all these conflicts in my head. So here's a funny one. Like, I'm always thinking, right? So in my head, I always think of like comedy bits. And as far back as I can remember, I've always thought this. It's like, I'll come up with something that's funny. And then it's like, man, I should do a comedy thing on that. But then it's like, well, that's one little thing. I never write these things down. And it's like, and I've always thought that. It's like, oh, well, it's one joke. I'm not going to get up there, say one joke. Good night. Thank you. But it's like, and then even if I did write these, I'd have all these books full of comedy things. And it's like, I'm not going to go up and do them myself. I'm not a comedy person. I guess I could be. I guess I could memorize it, put that on all the other stuff I do. But it's just like, and it's, the thought's like, oh, I can say them on the live stream. And it's like, well, a lot of them are just a little bit too risky. Like, I'll say one, like, if you're ever trying to Google porn, have you ever noticed how Google will always try to push you away from the porn? It's like, you'll put, let's see, like amateur. And then you put amateur in, it's like amateur radio, amateur everything. And then you'll even put like amateur 3. And amateur 3, and then something, you're going to put amateur threesome. But they want you to put everything but, anything they can do to steer you away from porn, they're going to do it. So, see? But that's like a, thank you, good night. So, but I always have these weird little thoughts. And it's like, man, I could do comedy. But could I? I don't know. Because from watching it, it's not all about just saying the joke. It's about, how you deliver it and every little nuance. And man, I'm obsessed about everything else. I don't need an obsession about how to write comedy. That's for damn sure. But I did see Eddie Murphy's making a comeback on everything. Man, he was on all the late shows. He was on Saturday Night Live last night. And whew, man. I remember as a kid sitting there watching Eddie Murphy. Man, I must have watched Delirious 1,000 times. That and Andrew Dice Clay. Those two, like HBO, the HBO special and Delirious and all that. I must have watched those things 1,000 times. Because, you didn't have internet back in the 80s. So, you just watch those things. You have a friend burn it on a VHS or something, or record it off the TV. And, Oh, man. Man, I've had this one topic on here for probably a month. It's talking about like this teacher I had and you know, the fine line of being crazy and genius, and how I always joke about that. You know, I'm always like, there's a fine line between crazy and genius, and I never know which side I fall on. Now, you know, it's a joke, but a lot of that's true because, you know, when I was in school and stuff, I got like really good grades, unless I didn't like the teacher. Then I got a bad grade. You know, my rebellious attitude. Oh, if I get one bad grade, it's gonna make the teacher look bad, not me. Duh. It's like, you know, that was my thinking back then. But you know, I had this really good teacher, and well, first when I was in school, I didn't do schoolwork or homework, but I would sit there and draw all day, and I could listen. See, I've adapted very well to look like I'm doing something else, but really analyzing every little thing that's going on everywhere, you know? And I've adapted that. Hey, what's up, Gravinder? How's it going? So I've adapted that really well. And so, you know, I get good grades because I wouldn't really do homework or schoolwork, but I would come in and I'd take the test. And even if I get like 95s on the test, it would carry the rest of the stuff through. Until I got to college, and man, well, not college, it was like a computer school, you know, where you get your degree as a computer tech. And I had this one teacher, and man, he even tells you right in the beginning of the class, he's like, everyone is going to hate me. You all will hate me. You'll hate my discipline, but I guarantee after you leave my class, you'll all come back and want me to help you out and do this. And man, it was so true. I hated him. And then after his class, he was like the best teacher I ever had. But this guy was so like disciplined and strict. You know, he was this old black guy, old military black guy. And, you know, and he kind of like moped around. But you could tell he was just, you know, he'd get up at 4 a.m. every morning and run 4 or 5 miles and just work out and just, you know. And I remember one time the whole class was like falling asleep. He turned around and he punched the chalkboard. It's like, whoa, you know. But this guy, he wouldn't let me draw in class. So he's like, no, you have to pay attention. If you're going to put that pen to paper, you're going to write down every word I say, you know, and stuff like that. And he even got so methodical about it. I would go on break. I'd have like a 15-minute break during class. He would follow me out and he's like, you're not drawing during your break either. And it's like, and I even took it to the administrator, the top guy, like, he's not letting me have my break. And he's like, well, then leave his class. But but it was, he knew it wasn't a choice to leave his class. So, you know, it's like, you know, follow his rules or you know, get kicked out of school. And oh man, whew, it was rough. But sure enough, I got like 100 in his whole class. But I'll tell you the one thing about the guy, like he'd have us go up on the board and draw stuff. And when it came for me to go up and draw, he's like, man, look at that work. Look at that artistic ability to just come out. Or he'd be like, you know, it's so nice to see when my students shine. Because, you know, over the years, like I say, I developed a whole way of manipulating authority. Because there's this weird thing about like teachers and anything. It's people have a perspective of them that they are supposed to be better. You know, okay, you're the student, they're the teacher. They're supposed to be perfect. And when you have a very analytical mind, you could be like, oh, well, here's this flaw, they don't do this right, they're not doing this right. So when you start doing that, the confidence starts coming out of the authority and puts you, you know what I'm saying? It levels the field from teacher to student to equals because you're showing people their faults. And I was really good at that. I've always been really good at pointing out other people's faults because I always take my fault. Anyway, so, but this guy didn't buy it, man. So he was like a great teacher. And sure enough, after I was out of his class, I wanted to come back and you know, have him help me more. And he's like, man, you got to fly now, man. I told you at the beginning. This always happens. So, but, you know, and on the line of crazy and genius, like, you know, when I was a kid, when I was like, what, 17, 16, you know, they put me in a psych ward. Well, I always called it the psych ward. My dad was CIA, so it was like the yuppie ward. And I did the same thing there, you know. In fact, not only did I have the kids on my side, all these parents are paying all this money and all these, you know, these government-issued kids or government-issued parents. When you start pointing out the flaws in the people that are supposed to be helping us, they start losing faith in the people they're putting their money into and start listening. You know, it's that whole God complex and stuff like that. You start learning, and I'm sure a lot of people that have it misuse it, but I'm too antisocial to do that. So I started putting my my stuff into better things, and plus I didn't want to go back to places like that. So it's like, let's kind of tame down the crazy. But when I was in there, I guess my point of the whole crazy genius thing, when I was in there, they did all these equivalency tests on me, like SAT equivalency. I didn't even know I was taking it. And they said if I would have taken the SATs, I would have gotten like 1480 on the SATs, and my IQ is like 140 or something like that. But it's like, you know, so when you hear me joking about that fine line between genius and crazy, you know, it's not always that much of a joke. Chip, my grandson is 8 and he's just like you. Uh-oh. That's not a good thing. I mean, believe me, being obsessed and always thinking, you know, you can come up with great ideas and stuff like that, but man, it's a burden because you can't turn it off. And you know, it'd be nice to have that switch where it's like, all right, I'm just thinking too much. And, you know, it could get depressing and overwhelming and all that stuff. And, you know, but there's a lot of good things out of it. You know, I try not to be too negative about it and or too bragging about it, because I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm a genius, because I don't feel like that. I just feel like I'm a person that thinks a lot. You know, I think all the time. So, you know, believe me, it's I see people. You know, I got a lot of friends that are just normal, hardworking guys, you know, and I look up to them. You know, it's like, man, I just, you know, I wish I could fall asleep at 9 or 10 o'clock at night and get up at 4 or 5 in the morning. But no, my brain doesn't turn off till 3 a.m. And then, you know, you know, so there's a lot of stress to thinking all the time. Oh, man. Bootleg Blades, need a 143 IQ for Mensa. Damn! You know, the funny thing is, I don't know what happened with all those tests or these equivalency tests, but I got kicked out of high school. Well, I got kicked out of high school. I got myself kicked out because I was 16 and they're like, you're too young to drop out. And, but me, I'm not a, what's the word? I'm a rebellious person, but I'm not like a violent person. In fact, I've probably been in like 2 or 3 fights in my life. And most of those fights was because someone else was getting hurt that was too small. And I jumped in and got my ass kicked instead. And, you know, I've told that when I got jumped, you know. My friend was, or this guy I didn't even know, this little guy was supposed to be in a fight. He didn't show up. I showed up and 9 of them jumped me. So, you know, stuff like that. But and I'm not a disrespectful person, and I never really was, but I was always the class clown that would push things way too far. So I got kicked out of school when I was 16 because they wouldn't let me drop out. But then 2 years later, when I should have graduated, I got applications to like Harvard. I got applications to like all these like Ivy League schools. Now, some of that might have also been because, like I said, my dad was CIA, and he could probably afford it. So, but who knows? It's like, but would I have made it good at Harvard? I could have made Facebook, right? Oh, man. All right. Enough rambling about me. Like I said, I wasn't even really going to do a live stream, but it's Christmas. It's the last live stream before Christmas. So, man, I hope everyone has really good holidays, whatever you celebrate. I got to say Merry Christmas because I'm a Christian and I believe in that. So that's what we celebrate. We celebrate Christmas, but whatever you celebrate, I hope you and your family are having great holidays and make it. And the next New Year's, well, I guess I'll have to come back next Saturday or next Sunday to do the New Year's, right? All right. Chip says you should have went to the CIA. My dad wanted me to kind of be like a military musician. See, my brother, get on another rant. My brother was my stepbrother, my dad's son. My dad remarried to my mom. Well, my dad went to World War II, and he married a lady that had, my stepbrother. My dad got back from war. They realized she hated music, and my dad couldn't deal with that. It's kind of the story I got. But anyway, then 20 years later, I came along. But my brother was supposed to go to Vietnam, and he was so into electronics and stuff like that. His clothes went to Vietnam, but he stayed back, and they needed him for intel and stuff like that. But I don't know all the, my dad kind of, any stories I heard about the war or stuff like that, I heard from other people, not my dad. He never talked about stuff like, my dad was always kind of like me, always joking around, but never really talking about things. But, from what I understand, his life was pretty rough. But anyway, see, I told you I'd get on another tangent. So, anyway, yeah, he wanted me to be a musician in the military, but I think I'm going to call it there. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. This was a fun one. Like I said, hope everyone has a good holiday. See, I'm thinking and not talking. And Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Yeah, let's have a good one. My website's up in the cards. Boy, that was a bad transition, huh? You get shirts, Amazon links, which are in the description too. All that good stuff. I got knives. I finished like 7 knives. I just got to sharpen them up, and then those will be on the website too. So yeah, let's have a great holiday, and I'll see you next Sunday. Thanks for stopping by, and as always, take it easy.